Good morning, students, and happy Tuesday. So as you can see from your lesson plan today, we just have to complete a worksheet reviewing our percentages, how to figure out the percentages of numbers. So just like you did in your book yesterday, and I encourage you to go back to yesterday's video at the very beginning just to remember how to multiply your decimals to find the percentages. So just to give one more example, yesterday there are two samples in the video. Remember that when you have two digits, you would move your invisible decimal twice to the left, which would give you 0.5 in this case. Remember that any zeros after the digits that come after a decimal you can remove. So in this case, we would have 36 times 0.5 and multiply. Then, after we get our answer, remember that we have to move the decimal however many places it is moved to the left. In this case, we only have one move to the left, so then we only move it once to the left and we have 18. So remember that the zeros after the decimal don't count, so we are left with 18. Even though 18.0 is fine, you can leave it either way. So you would do the same thing no matter how large the number. In this case, we have a 3-digit number, which isn't in your book. But it doesn't matter. You would just move your invisible decimal twice to the left, which would give you 0.5. And then you're just going to multiply 0.5 times 584. And whatever your answer is, you will move your decimal one time to the left. So for this page, you have a lot of 3-digit numbers. Just multiply them just as you would a 2-digit number. It's all the same. Move your decimal twice to the left every time. If you don't have zeros, like for example, this one is 0.5 because there's a 0. But if you're doing 75, for example, moving the invisible decimal to the left, in this case you would have to include the 5, so you would have to multiply like this. And remember, that would give you 2 rows where you would add and then move your decimal twice to the left in your answer. Please let me know if you have any questions. You can go back to yesterday's video at the beginning as well. So here for our assignment for Tuesday for language, we have Becoming a Better Writer. So we are 2 pages away from completing our unit on modifiers, so it's important that you pay close attention as this is going to help you write sentences a little bit more creatively. So it says, making your writing more concise by replacing wordy expressions with adjectives or adverbs. So it's just encouraging you to use a lot of adjectives and adverbs when you're writing so that your work is more interesting. So in this case, for Write A, it says to express the following thoughts more concisely by changing the underlined expressions to an adjective or an adverb, and write your sentences on notebook paper. So because these sentences are kind of long, you may need a sheet of notebook paper. And on here, on the top, you have some examples if you're having a hard time coming up with what a more creative or more concise sentence would be. So an example here says, wordy, we visited several countries on the continent of Asia. But a better way to say that would be, we visited several Asian countries. A wordy sentence says, you must have done your report in a hasty manner. Concise, you must have done your report hastily. So, remember that adverbs usually end in ly. They're describing adjectives or other adverbs. So here it says, they spoke in words that were filled with bitterness. You can definitely shorten that and make it more concise by saying something like, They spoke in words bitterly. Bitterly would be the adverb. I read an article about Indians who live in Alaska. You can change that by saying, I read an article about Alaskan Indians. So it's just how to not just shorten it, but make your sentence more concise. Make it simple and easier to understand and read by using adjectives or adverbs. So you do the next 3 on your own, or you can even replace the examples that I did with something more creative. Here it says, instead of using many modifiers to describe a general noun, let one strong noun do the job. So let's see an example of this. Scrooge's awful, unhappy feeling was caused by his stinginess. But here's a nice strong noun. Scrooge's misery was caused by his stinginess, because misery can better describe all of these words in one. So here on the bottom it says to match each group of words on the left to a noun that could replace it. So you're going to read these sentences. You may have to read them out loud to yourself, and you're going to match them with a word that could replace it. So let me give you one example. Here it says, a treacherous, disloyal person. So let's find a word here that could replace treacherous and disloyal. And all of these are nouns. So in this case, a treacherous or disloyal person is usually called a traitor. So all you'd have to do is just match the letter B, cross it out, and match it. So you're going to read these descriptions and then find the right noun. If you come across one that you're not sure about, skip it, do the rest, and then you might have fewer answers to choose from. For our spelling assignment for Tuesday, we have the same routine of vocabulary with our prefix, root, and suffix hints here on the top. So just using your 4 vocabulary words as usual, you're going to complete the page, writing them, referring to your spelling dictionary, of course, completing your sentences, and then doing your multiple choice. So just remember, my tip for every week is to write down those vocabulary word definitions first.